Call this meeting of the Madison Board of Selectmen to order on Monday, August 12, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. Will you join me in saluting the flag? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show Selectman Moody is absent. Letter C, consent agenda, prior year AP warrant number 36, dated 6/28/19, number 38, 7/22/19, warrants, AP warrant number 2, 7/22/19, payroll register number 30, 7/25/19, number 31, 8/1/19, and number 32, 8/8/19.
Move to accept. Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the warrants and payroll register as read. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. Acceptance of the meeting minutes of June 3rd, 2019, and July, no, we can't do that, can we?
You can do July 22nd.
But I can't, you gotta do them separately.
You can do it separately.
I was not there.
Different people.
Who was not there on June 3rd?
It was you and Mr.
I was
Moody,
here.
You and Mr. Moody, these three were there.
All right, so let's do June 3rd, 2019 first.
June 3rd. Was not here? Yeah, I was here.
Yes.
I was.
Okay, so.
Move to
do for a
accept
motion.
June 3rd.
Okay.
Oh, that was, yeah, Jack, me, and you.
Yeah, so-
I'll move to accept.
All right. I will second it.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the minutes from June 3rd, 2019, finally. Any questions on that? All those in favor? All right, we have 3 in favor, and we have 1 abstention. And now for July 22nd, 2019.
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion and a second to accept the meeting minutes of July 22nd, 2019. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. Old business, Mr. Elias?
I was not here. I have no old business.
Savage? You, Sean?
He was not.
Okay, and I have none, so,
Move.
right along. Let's see, items of communication, Mr. Town Manager?
Just a couple of things to pass along to you. One, I did put a press release in your packet that the Maine Municipal Association Workers' Compensation Fund did write the town a check back for $5,100. That's been a regular occurrence, and it shows that we're moving up in the world as far as worker compensation claims, thankfully. The other thing I'll just note is that property tax liens, the 30-day notice ran out today, so today is the last day. We'll wait a couple of days to see if any payments come in through the mail, and then we'll be processing probably about 170 tax liens this year, which is about average. When you have 3,000 taxpayers, it's really less than 1% that have to be liened. So that's really about all that's going on.
All right, new business, number 1, discuss interest rate for a revolving loan fund, currently at 6%.
This was carried over from the last meeting out in East Madison, and the selectmen, especially Mr. Moody, had asked that the treasurer weigh in on this, so I think Kathy's done some research for you. Give you her thoughts.
Okay, so the first paper in front of you is for the 5,000. If you were to, the revolving loan, I guess, would be anywhere from probably 5,000. I guess it could be less than that, but I just took it based that it might be 5,000, and the highest one being 15,000. But based on 5,000, at 1%, it would be, traditionally they can go up to 5 years. So if you follow it through to the second page, down at the bottom I've highlighted that it would be $128.20 interest at 1%. And then on the next page, at 3% for a $5,000 for 60 months, which is a 5-year term, it would be $390.40 interest would be earned. And then I did it for 6% for $5,000 for the 5-year term, and the interest on that earned would be $799.60. So that's on the 5-year one. The next set is for the $15,000 one. The 1% for that, for the 5-year term, would be $384.60. And then the 3% for the 15,000 would be $1,171.80 earned on interest. And at 6% for the 15,000, it would be $2,399.40. Now, if, I didn't do how much it would actually cost to do all the processing of it and stuff, but in reality, the 1% wouldn't even touch it, I mean, not really. Probably someplace maybe between the 3 and the 6% might take care of anything that was in-house that needed to be done, because you also have to figure that it has to go through audit and everything else. Not that it takes a long period of time to do any of that, but if you do it over the course of the whole 5 years, then maybe in between the 3% and 6% you might earn your cost. But in the bigger picture, that's not kinda how I would look at it anyways, because I would look at it as that money, we don't really put back into the general fund anyways, that money sits there for the interest, and that grant money that you guys were able to give out in that last meeting, some of that money came from the loans that we had out. The loans that we've had out were, some of them started back in 2009, we had some smaller loans. One of those was never paid off. Pardon?
Couple of
I can only remember one that wasn't paid off, that went back, that never got completely paid for one of the revolving loans. But in any case, and they were smaller amounts, they were like, the one that I clearly remember was under $4,000. And then we've had some in 2011 that started, we had 2 of them that started in 2011, and we've had, in 2012, we've had some. We only have 2 right now, and I didn't get the balances of those, but now we only have 1. One just got paid off completely, and then we have 1 right now ongoing. So, I mean, that earned like, what, $10,000, $11,000 of interest is what that earned over those periods of time. So, I mean, I would think that it'd be, the reason to do it would be so that you would have that money available to maybe give to people who maybe would want it. Because, I mean, if you're gonna do it for 1%, there's no sense in doing any percentage. I mean, you don't make much money on 1% for any of that, so that's just my thought.
All right, Mr. Duchamp.
I would agree with you. I think that there's no sense in doing it if you're not going to charge a reasonable interest rate. And I also think that loans from the revolving loan fund, typically you're going to end up going to people that aren't going to be able to get financed someplace else. And if they come to see me, they're going to pay 6%, 5-6%. That's kind of standard going rate. That's why we went to 6% last year, I think, or whatever, because rates were moving and rates have kind of stabilized a little bit. I think a 6% rate is a perfectly reasonable rate. I agree with Kathy. If you're, the flip side of that is if these come in, you process the paperwork, the payments come in as they're supposed to. The cost on those is relatively minor. But the cost increases on those exponentially when people don't pay, because then you start having, somebody has to go after them. And the Oasis one, the River's Edge one, remember that one? That was a big one, 35,000, I think. And that one just kind of walked away.
Yeah,
So-
I did forget about that one.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, I knew there was a small one, but that's the one that kind of sticks in my head that, we just, and when we were talking about it, and we're saying, well, give them 3%. Well, that's not even compensating yourself for the risk.
We tried to take him to court for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
and so that cost you then too.
Yep.
That's what that does.
so, that's why I think 6% is a reasonable rate. I think it's, you're at market, what the market is doing right now. I don't see any problem with 6.
We're also assuming some risk here too. I mean, we're not, this loan that we're going to get is we're not gonna be first in line for anything.
That's right.
Probably gonna be 8th in line,
At
behind
best.
everybody else.
Right.
Yeah, at best.
This loan is all risk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think we have to be compensated a little bit for that risk.
I agree.
So would anybody like to make a motion?
I move 6%.
All right, there's a motion and a second for 6% for our revolving loan fund. Any other questions?
Al, I just got one. How much money is in that account?
Oh, I think at the last meeting, Tammy said there was about 70,000, 68, 70,000. Because there's almost 80,000 with interest, and we moved interest into the matching grants fund. So I think there's about 70 or 80,000.
How many current loans are out on
There's
that?
only one point loan out right now. It's being repaid.
I don't understand why the town would want to be in the banking industry.
Well, I think when, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but when we received a grant for something along the line, we set up this revolving loan fund. And if you demolish, if you take the revolving loan fund out, you have to pay it back. So we can't get out of the business. We'd have to pay back the full amount.
160?
No. We
It's a portion of that.
got a grant back when Joy Heichel was here. We got a grant from USDA for $50,000.
But Timber goes back further than that.
But that $50,000 grant is the key, because all the other monies that were put into the revolving loan account don't have to be paid back to anyone. But that USDA money has to go back to USDA if it's not used. So there's
Is this from the TIF or is this USDA?
It's USDA money. So that USDA money, if when the town were to say, we're out of the revolving loan business, we're gonna dissolve this account, there's a formula, and we would have to pay almost all of that back, 40-some thousand dollars we'd have to give back to USDA. So that's kind of the incentive to keep it on the books.
I don't think we've given a loan in quite a while.
You haven't given a loan out since I've been here.
I
Dana
think
did the last.
2012 was, I think, the last time that a loan was given out.
And I can tell you as a commercial lender, I quite often use that as kind of like if somebody wants to get financed and I can do part of it, but I can't do all of it, sometimes I'll say, well, go see Tim, we need, if you can get a $5,000 loan from them or whatever, then maybe we can pull this deal together. So we use it purely from a commercial banking perspective. We use it as kind of another source that we can go to try and make a deal happen for us.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. Number 2, discuss fiscal year 20 economic development budget.
So this is also known as the TIF budget.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This is also known as the TIF budget. The board has seen this in various forms several times over the last couple of months as we've been discussing things like the revolving loan account and the matching grant program. But Tammy brought it to my attention that it hasn't been formally adopted by the board. So on the left-hand shaded side, those are the amounts that were approved at town meeting for those certain article categories. That doesn't need board approval. It's the other side, the right-hand side of the ledger, which is the 2020 budget. You can see we spend about $29,000 on economic development projects, including events like Madison Days and the Christmas celebration. The $35,000 for the matching grants includes that $10,000 that the board moved at the last meeting from interest to the matching grant program, and that was able to fund all 7 of the applicants. And then highway takes a large portion of it because we're still working using TIF money to finish River Road. My hope is that by the time River Road is done, we'll be able to soften up the amount of money that goes to the highway account. Although also that we do still allocate money for road salt and calcium on that.
So, John?
Just a quick question on River Road, is that modification right in front of the pit, is that on the docket for this year?
That's a good question because the contractors that are involved in that are changing. And so Jeff is still waiting for a final say on when that's all going to be.
Property's changed hands.
the property is not the issue, it's the contractors.
The contractor's doing the work.
Right, because the person that owned the land has sold his business to another business.
Yeah.
And that has delayed this whole process of getting that work done. Because that person that used to own the land was doing all the work, and that was the agreement when he gave the land to the town.
So Jeff was doing the work,
Yep.
and so when he sold,
The process of that sale that they've been going through most of the summer has delayed the work getting done.
that's done, and that transaction is done. I'm telling you, the transaction is done.
I understand that, but what the road commissioner told me today is it's still not clear when that project's going to be done. If it'll be done ready for paving this year or ready for paving next
Okay.
year.
Because I can tell you part of my conversation with Jeff was, you're gonna make sure that this gets done. And he said, I will make sure that it gets done. So I'll follow up with him and have him get in touch with Jeff.
Yep.
All right, so looking for a motion to approve the economic development budget for fiscal year 2019-20.
You want an amount?
You say as presented.
As presented here.
So is the amount roughly 550? That's total?
Yes, the total on both sides, but the economic development budget in the
319.
white would be 319.
So
This-
left as the town has done already.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I'll make that a motion for $319,100.
We have a motion and a second to approve the economic development budget for fiscal year 2019-20 for $319,100. Any questions?
So, I'm assuming that those who were interested have had a chance to look at this, but I want to draw your attention simply to page 4. Page 4 lays out a couple of important things. One, the term, it's a 15-year credit enhancement agreement, and the company will keep 85% of their taxes, and the town will keep 15% of the taxes. The other thing that's important on page 4 is right at the bottom of the page. The question came up as to who's paying for all the legal work to do this, because they pay their lawyer to put it together, we pay a lawyer to put it together, and then they both compare notes, and then they gotta send it to the state and get it approved. So the town has spent just over $9,000. If you look at the bottom of the page, you'll notice that the first payment by the town to the company will be reduced by $9,328.40, which is our way of recapturing the legal costs. Now, this won't happen until this time next year, when the first taxes are due. But that's how the town recaptures the cost, and essentially Woodlands pays all the legal fees. Now, this was essentially approved in principle by the selectmen when they called for a special town meeting, and then the special town meeting vote approved it. This is the first time that all the particulars have been put into writing by both lawyers, and they both have agreed to the terms. So I do have 2 signature pages for the board if they so choose to sign it.
You can't hook to anything?
You can sign 5 signature pages if you'd like, Mr.
They're not hooked to anything, are they?
All right, so do we have a motion to accept the credit enhancement agreement between the town of Madison and Woodland Senior Living of Madison LLC?
I'll make the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We have a motion and a second to accept the credit enhancement agreement. Any questions? Sean?
The credit enhancement agreement doesn't define our use of our portion. That's solely up to us, right? Because I know we talked about using it for senior
Yeah,
citizens.
it's been a learning experience for me. So a TIF doesn't have to do with any money going back and forth. But underneath the umbrella of a TIF, you have the projects that you can use TIF money on,
Yep.
and you have the credit enhancement agreement, which is where the taxpayer receives a benefit and the town receives the money. So those projects have already been set and approved by the state. We have that letter from
good.
the DECD commissioner.
That's what I want to make sure.
All right, any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
What?
You see this page here with nothing on it? Can we push this down and have this up top?
Tonight?
No,
So you want
the ones we signed.
You want to bring this back at the next meeting?
No, have it done, I'll come up to the office. This is ridiculous, Kim, this can go to anything, don't you understand what I'm saying?
I do understand.
Not that I don't trust you or anybody else, but I don't trust these lawyers. And I'll put that right on camera.
So what would you like added
See
to
what you
this
got right here?
signature page on the very front?
Yes.
The front page, okay.
You just move the lines down and we can sign that, can't we?
Okay. I
Does that make sense?
I don't think it'll be a problem,
I think it does.
so.
All right, so let's,
Does anybody else feel uncomfortable just?
all right, we have a motion and a second to approve the credit enhancement agreement between the town of Madison and Woodlands Senior Living of Madison LLC. All right? All those in favor? All in favor? The motion carries. All right, number 4, discuss past due personal property.
So,
So we'll have to come in and sign that then?
yes, once I get it ready, I'll put the word out, and early in the morning it'll be ready for you.
All right, tomorrow. Okay, 7.
So,
I'll be up in the morning if it's ready.
I have no doubt about that. I'll work on it tonight.
Okay.
Just a little history for the board members on personal property account number 75. This is Al Levante's public record. This is the Abenaki campground. Al has been notoriously delinquent in paying his personal property taxes. When I first became tax collector, he had personal property that hadn't been paid back to 2009, I believe, or 2008. Yes, 2008. So, since he refused to pay, the only avenue you have to collect personal property is to take someone to small claims court. So, what you have in your packet here, I've tried to highlight the dates. This first one was taken to small claims in April of 2017, and then we took him to small claims again in June of 2018. So I'll tell you the story. In 2017, we wrote right on here, we were seeking tax years 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. We did not try to get tax years 2008, 9, and 10, because the rules with personal properties, you can only go back 6 years. So this is what we were trying to get, was those 6 years worth of tax payments, which totaled $887.31. We went through the beginning process of small claims. Al got his notice, called me up and said, I don't want to go to small claims court. What do I owe you? I said, well, $887 will settle without going to small claims. And he said, if I pay that, will the selectmen consider writing off everything else? And I said, I will ask them. So he did write us a check for $887. But what happens, because by rule, whenever a payment on taxes come in, the oldest taxes are paid first. So that $887 paid off the 8s, the 9s, the 10s, the 11s, the 12s, the 13s, and part of the 14s. So I explained this to Al. I said, I know on here that the court paper says it's going to pay the 14s, 15s, and 16s, but because you had older taxes, your money, which wasn't court ordered, it was an agreement that we would pay, went to the oldest taxes first. He's like, okay, well, ask the selectmen if they would write off the rest of it. And I did, and the board chose not to. So the board did not take any action to write off any of his personal property. So going forward, we had him paid up through 2014. Well, the same pattern has continued. He refused to pay 15, 16, 17, and 18. So I went and took him to court again in 2018, trying to find settlement for the 14, 15, 16s, and 17s. This one did go to court. The judge did rule in the town's favor. And with court fees and costs, we have a judgment of $626. But what can you do with that? And really, all I could do, I had two options. I could put a lien on the property, or I could have him come in for a disclosure hearing, and the judge, if he did show up, would basically say, you need to work out a deal and make this payment for those who have gone through the process of small claims, that can become frustrating because once that judge signs off on the payment process, you make one payment, the person never pays again, and you're right back to square one, taking the small claims court. So for $626, we did place a lien on the property. Now, Mr. Levante, when he got this judgment, he appealed it. And we had a phone call between the judge, Mr. Levante, and myself. And his point was, and he brought this up, he said, look, I paid $887, and that was supposed to go to the 14s, 15s, and 16s, and now you're taking me to court for the 14s, 15s, and 16s again. Okay? Point well taken. I'm bringing this to the board to ask what you would like to do with this. This is the only personal property account we have that goes past 2018. Everybody else, and we have 200 accounts, everybody else pays their personal property. He's the only one that has refused. Here's my recommendation, if you'd like. I'm going to try to get him to pay the 17s and 18s, which are $343. If the board would waive the 14, 15, and 16, that's $397. I'm not asking you to take motion on that tonight, because I want to kind of get the direction from you to see if he'll even bite on this. Then I'm going to wipe his personal property account clean, and we're going to have Shirley start over. Because that's the other thing he refuses to do. He refuses to come in and update his personal property. He doesn't tell us that, you know, this golf cart is no longer there, this piece of equipment is no longer there. We need to start clean with this process. So, as the tax collector, I bring this to you and ask for your direction.
What we should have done was 2007, 2008, 2009 should have been wiped from the books.
Right.
Right, that should have, that
If you had done that,
2007, 8, 9, 10 should have been wiped from the books.
if you wrote those off, right,
Right.
then his $887 would have applied further up.
What was the value of the 2007, 2008, 2009?
The value of the assessment?
Yeah, do we have that?
Well, we know the tax was $108, $113, $112, $113. I don't know if the valuation has changed. Obviously, the tax rate has changed since 2008, 2009.
So that would have gone through, if that, what he paid, the 883, would have gone through from the years that are mentioned, right?
So it's paid.
That was
11,
Oh,
12,
right.
13, 14, 15, and 16.
Yeah. But those other years was about $300.
That ate that up, that's right.
Right.
Okay.
So what's our pleasure?
I'll make that a motion. I make a motion that we do what the chairman just asked.
We're giving him some.
That's my pleasure. You want the motion?
Because I haven't talked to Al
No, I said
about this
it.
deal, but if I come back to him and say,
Let him go talk to Al first.
Right.
Mm.
Well, the deal is, okay, we'll move his money up to what the chairman just said.
right,
7, 8, 9, and 10, because you don't have 10 on here either. Did he pay 10? I heard 7, 8, 9, but I don't see 10.
Yeah, I don't see 10 either, so
Yeah.
probably not 10.
Yeah.
so when we first filed in small claims in April of 17, we were asking for 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, and 11.
Mhm.
So the items that we couldn't get through small claims, which I think Mr. Indiana said, in retrospect, the board should have wiped them clear, would have been the taxes for 2010, 9, and 8. Because he had paid his 2007 taxes.
Okay, so 10, 9, and 8.
So if we get rid of 10, 9, and 8,
Yeah.
clear that.
154.
All right, so you're gonna make that a motion?
That's what I make a motion.
Okay.
We do
Second
what you
one.
asked. We start with 11, and he's paid up until 16.
Yeah,
So then we go after for 17,
Now,
18.
if he agrees to this, then he's gonna have to agree to finish paying up.
that's right. Okay.
We'll forgive those 3 previous years.
I think I've got the intent. I don't need a motion now.
Okay.
Once I come back to you with numbers.
I think I would also require that he cooperate to get his personal property records, because I don't want to do another abatement just because we don't have any idea what's there. If he doesn't have stuff there, then we shouldn't be taxing
We
him
can
for
adjust
it.
accordingly.
Right.
But I don't want to just make make an assumption that just because he says it isn't there, or whatever.
We also include 19 in that to get it all paid up, and we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Actually, what I did was I told Shirley to hold. So to basically hold an account so that we don't issue a personal property tax
Okay.
this year.
For 1819?
For the, what we
1920?
just committed, 19.
Well, what you might do is say, look, we put a hold on your personal property, and you give me the form, and we'll get you an accurate bill for 19, so that we won't run into this down the road.
Okay.
Yeah, do it that way, I think.
Thank you.
That way you've got a little carrot and stick kind of thing there.
All right,
I appreciate that.
thank you.
Yep.
All right, number 5, discuss tax acquired property account 1040.
To step up and pay a few $1,000s.
Yeah, okay.
I believe it's disability backing.
Yeah.
So in agreement to stay the course here till at least September, October probably?
Yep.
Let's see what happens. All right, selectmen's concerns, Mr. Elias.
None for me, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Savage? Mr. Duchamp?
I have one. At the playground, where that teeter-totter thing was, can we either pull that base out or buy something new to go on it?
Yeah, that's pretty dangerous.
Because it is dangerous. I mean, the cone that was there is now gone. And
Yes.
so, I think we either need to, if I was making the decision solely, I'd say let's look and see what we can get to put in that spot. And if they make a new teeter-totter like that one that we can bolt into that frame, then find out how much it is and let's move it forward.
And we've done that to a certain degree. I think we have the capability to do it. You have to adapt it to fit something new.
Yeah.
Because it's not a multi-use base.
But that base is concrete in the ground,
It
right?
is, and that's the thing about pulling it out, it's,
Yeah.
there's
You're gonna make a big mess.
quite a bit of concrete. I have some ideas that I got from the manufacturer of the playground equipment. So I'll follow back up on that.
Yeah, I think we need to do something with that. It's been, you know, we need to maintain the playground, and that's one of those things.
Yeah.
All right, I have none. Citizens' concerns.
People that are supposed to show up and show up, don't have it.
All right, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All right, motion to second adjourn, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries, we are adjourned at 7:02.